investment advice provided on the following program is on an individual basis. Listeners should not consider today's discussion as a recommendation for any investment and should carefully evaluate before investing. This is your Real Estate Today on News Talk 1110.
Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to the show, Your Real Estate Today. It's Paul Jameson with the Jameson family of companies. That's Realty, Jameson Property Management, Jameson Property Investments. Here to spend some time with you in this beautiful Saturday afternoon, talking about real estate. Who would not enjoy that? The show, Your Real Estate Today. If you're a first-time listener, sit back, relax. We got a lot in store for you today. I've got two great guests today. I got three, actually. I got Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. Hey, Preston.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me.
I've got Sandy Dickinson with Summit Funding. Hey, Sandy.
Hey.
Sandy's going to do our mortgage update. And later on in the show, Tara Cuffney will be here with the Costner Law Firm. We're excited to have her and looking forward to having her share some of her knowledge with us as well. So let's just dive right in. All right. So we're going to hit the ground running on Saturday. So here we go. What did I learn this week? Oh my, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. Between the years 2018 and 2019, the Charlotte metro area has grown 2.63% between 2018 and 2019. Inventory is growing at 1.6% also between 2018 and 2019, and that's real estate. Get this. Are you ready? Drum roll. 40% of the units in Mecklenburg County are rentals. 40% are rentals in Mecklenburg County. Property investment mecca. That's what I say. Sorry, Sandy. All right. So in 2011, houses of $150,000 or less made up 47% of the inventory in our region.
Wish you could get a house for that now.
In 2011, people, listen to this number. In 2011, houses at $150,000 or less made up 47% of our inventory.
I should have listened when you said
now. Yeah.
Back then you were saying now's a good time to buy real estate.
I told you. Now it's 8%. 8%.
Because everything's more expensive than that.
Rent now averages $1,600 a month.
Wow. Median
price of homes in our area has gone up 50% since 2011. Wow. Now in the high 200s, right around 290.
Wow. So in 9 years, we've gone up 50%.
That's craziness. Is it not? All right. So in the vein of, let's call it political
correctness.
Yeah, nah, I'm not that. Let's call it political disclosure. I'm going to share with you how Biden and how Trump feel about housing. How's that?
This ought to be good.
Okay. If you're Biden, you're going to put $640 billion in affordable housing over the next 10 years. Also, if you're Biden, you're going to give priority to all minority-owned construction and repair companies. If you're Biden, you're going to overturn the Trump tax cuts, which include tax cuts for real estate. You're going to also give a $15,000 tax credit to all first-time home buyers. Those darn first-time home buyers. And you will refuse a 1031 exchange, meaning a tax-free exchange, which avoids capital gains on real estate, pushes it down the road. to earners of over $400,000 a year. All right. Okay, now if you're Donald Trump, here is how you feel about real estate. Excuse me, President Donald Trump. You're going to pump $100 billion into distressed areas. He's already done that. You're going, oh, I forgot, Biden also is going to create an executive order so that there will be no evictions. I forgot to type that one. So Trump also put out an executive order to assist renters from eviction and owners. There's a $10,000 property tax deduction limit. There is interest deduction limit of interest on real estate deduction limit of $750,000, down from $1 million. Okay. If you got interest deductions of $1 million, can you imagine that? Are your mortgages that big, Sandy?
No, they're not that big.
Okay, I'll just check it. You're going to put $3 billion into assisting the homeless. And here's one of my favorites. You're going to develop opportunity zones, which he did. There are areas where there are great tax benefits from investing into those parts of town. Here's some areas you may recognize: Eastway Drive, North Davidson Street, Wilkinson Avenue, West Boulevard, West Tryon, Tuckasegee, Statesville Avenue areas. Those areas will provide extra benefit if you want to invest in real estate. So you think about that. If you now, as a result of what I said, are thinking about investing in real estate and realize, just like the Maslow's theory of hierarchy, that no matter what's going on, you got to have, I actually said it right, food, shelter, and safety. And if you think shelter is as important as I do, because Maslow did, and we learned it in school, and you want to invest in real estate, that's what we're here to do. You can pick up a copy of my book, Opportunity is Knocking, either at Amazon Prime or at pauljameson.com. Opportunity is Knocking. It will give you a good window into thinking about and understanding investment in real estate. All right, Sandy.
Yes.
Tell me what's going on in the mortgage market.
Okay, well, there's a lot. The prospect of an effective vaccine has caused the market to be pretty happy, the stock market. We'll have to see how that shakes out. And you already spoke of some of this, but if Biden becomes our president, we will definitely have more regulation. And honestly, that typically results in higher costs to our consumers, because the more regulation, the more people we have to hire to manage it, and it just raises the cost of getting a mortgage. That $15,000 tax credit you talked about to buyers at the closing table will cause prices to rise because of the super low inventory right now, and that will put us in a difficult situation. So the real estate community is not a big fan of that, because it's just gonna do crazy stuff to the market. This week, the Small Business Optimism Index fell by 0.5 point due to the increased shutdown plans over COVID increases. There are still some inflation fears out there to watch. If it becomes a thing, then the rates will go up. And finally, currently loan performance is at a steady rate with minimal or respectable delinquencies and foreclosures. So they're at reasonable levels. So we're not worried about a lot of foreclosures right now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that kind of news.
Yeah.
That's very good. Well, Sandy, if people want to understand more about the rates, they're interested in a refinance or a purchase, how do they get in touch with you at Summit Funding?
They call my mobile, 704-577-0144.
Sandy Dickinson, Summit Funding. All right, so I'm going to tell you what's about to come up next. Preston Sandlin and Tara Cuffney are going to talk about lots of things today. Tara is going to talk about some notary issues, wiring issues that are going on right now, and change of ownership in housing. Preston is going to talk about some things that fail in a home inspection that you need to know about prior to that. And right when we come back, I'm going to talk about mountain madness. Mountain madness. Woo! We've got a lot to talk about the show, Your Real Estate Today. I'm Paul Jameson, your host. Stay with us right here on News Talk 1110 99.3 WBT. Hello, welcome back to the show, Your Real Estate Today. Paul Jameson here, your host with the Jameson family of companies. That's realty, property management, property investments. Here with Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. Hey, Preston.
Hey, Paul. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And Tara Cuffney with the Cuffney Law Firm. Hey, Tara. Going well, going well. Well, before we launch in, I promised at the break, I'm going to talk about mountain madness. And many of us out there have investment property in the mountains. And let me tell you, right now, it is madness. People either running from the COVID to find a place to stay, or they're looking for a place to see the leaf change or spend the holidays with the mountain's serene views. All right, so, or out in the middle of nowhere where nobody can breathe on them and they can walk around with their mask off. That's the real last part about it. Did I say that out loud? Sorry about that. Just kept it as a thought bubble. Well, anyway, so here's some mountain madness information. My property manager at the mountains calls me up and says, we have a very lovely couple that wants to stay at your home during Christmas. Well, that's great. Well, they have two demands. What would those be? Well, number one, they want a Christmas tree. And I said, okay, it has to be artificial because I don't want to deal with their needles, their ornaments, their tree, their stand, their stuff. No, you bring an artificial tree. If you want a tree, you bring an artificial tree. And they said, oh, the second thing is they just want to make sure that they can use your fireplace. Second, no. Well, what do you mean, no? You have a fireplace. Well, I do, yes. But I also know that many times when people rent your property, they leave their brain at home. And what they do is they light a fire and then they go to bed. Well, even Smokey the Bear will tell you that's a big no. They're not going to put embers on my furniture, burn my rug, have fires going all night long while they're sleeping. And the next thing you know, I'm staring at a pile of ash with a great view. Well, so then they said, well, how about you put in a gas fireplace, where there is no gas. So that means you got to get the giant capsule and they leave it on all night again. And so the tank is empty. And then on Christmas Eve, they're mad because there's no gas in the tank. And you're trying to find somebody that'll fill up the tank on Christmas Eve because they left it on for the last 3 days and didn't really care. Second, no. So I went out and I got an electric fireplace insert that fit into my fireplace.
Looks like a fire.
I'm telling you what, you can even get them with artificial crackling sound.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you, they're the coolest thing you ever want to see. It looks real and it's awesome and it'll put out heat. And guess what? If they go to bed, it's got a timer on it and it shuts off. How awesome is that? What's the worst thing that could happen? Nothing. That's what.
You know what, Paul? You can get that app on your phone too and play it on your TV. It's awesome.
Oh, they won't do that.
You sit there and watch it on TV, and then along with the crackling sound, I swear you feel warmer. I'm watching that fire and figuring out, oh, I feel warmer all of a sudden.
So we installed it. I got to tell you, it's the coolest thing ever. It looks real. And it was $440. It's awesome. So anyway, Mountain Madness, we're booked for Christmas. It's fantastic. Welcome back, friends. The show, Your Real Estate Today. Happy Saturday. We hope wherever you are happy, safe. Window rolled down, arm out, hanging out and having a good day, or whatever you're doing. We just hope you're having fun because we're talking about my favorite subject, real estate. I'm Paul Jameson, your host with the Jameson family of companies. That's realty for buyers and sellers, property management for those that individual investors that have rental real estate, and property investments for those that are interested in investing in real estate. I'm here with Tara Cuffney with a Cuffney Law Firm, and also Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. You want to watch us? Don't forget to tune into the Jameson Realty YouTube channel where you can see us live. You can see Sandy Dickinson, you can see Tara Cuffney, you can see Preston Sandlin, and maybe TJ will make a cameo, visit from the other side with his Star Wars shirt on, a producer. I mean, you just never quite know what's going to happen in here. But you can see that, the gestures and all the crazy stuff we're doing on the sidelines. You can also go to radio.com and listen to us, or you can tune in certainly from the WBT website under the shows tab and just listen to your heart's content. All right, Preston, why in the world are we going to talk about these 15 things that typically fail in a home inspection? Do you think people just kind of want to know?
Yeah, probably. And, I tried to do a little transition here from Tara, and we have one thing in common, and that is wiring issues is one of the items.
But not the same kind. One is money, one is electricity, though, right?
Yeah, both can be really bad. But no, I got this list. I got the message from you that I want to do the radio show and what I want to talk about. And this is actually HGTV's list of 15 things that can fail a home inspection. So,
but they're pretty similar to what I see on a daily basis, Preston.
I agree with most of them. Some of them are a little bit the same thing, but I thought we could go through them, critique them, and put our local spin on HGTV's list of 15 things that fail on home inspections, or most common things.
All right, lay it on me. What is first?
Number one, I'll go along with this. The ground sloping or draining away from the house. Water on your foundation is bad. You got to get that water away from your foundation. Anybody who's ever been camping, you look for the high ground because you don't want that water going towards,
towards your sleeping bag.
Yeah, a soggy sleeping bag or soggy foundation is not a good thing. So you definitely want to slope it away. You really should have a drop for every 10 inches. It should drop 3 inches. I'm sorry, every 10 feet should drop 3 inches. If you do not, the best slope to have is where it slopes away on all sides, right? The second best is where you're on the hill, because you can use that, the gravity, so to speak. It's going to drain fine on one side. On the other side, you can put in a French drain or something like that to skirt it around. The two worst are to be on a complete flat, flat, no plane, or obviously if it drains towards the house. So those are bad.
You know what's interesting too, Preston, that plays into this, two things. Number one is no gutters. A lot of houses have no gutters. Number two is people take those splash block things and they turn them around backwards. That drives me insane. So the water goes back to the house,
right?
Off their gutters.
Absolutely. Or eventually, the mowing or whatever, they tear them up, or sometimes they'll have the corrugated pipe that leads those things away from the house, but they don't get put back on after it's it's mowed or something like that. But the bottom line is you got to get that water away from your foundation, because you know what happens to your foundation if you don't? Think about this. How many of you guys ever been to the beach? I know I always give this analogy, but it's still if you walk out to the beach and you first get out to the beach, it's real fluffy. And then as you get closer to the water, it's really compact. Well, what happens is if you get a lot of water, it takes out all the air pockets in the soil and it collapses. You know this from a beach chair, or even if you stand in the edge of the surf, when the water comes up and it just erodes the soil around you. Same thing with the foundation. If it erodes all those air pockets, the footer will drop, it'll cause cracking, and you're going to have foundation issues. And doors and windows aren't going to open correctly, and you're going to have problems, which leads us to number two. Problems with the foundation. Yeah. Ironically, I put a meme on Facebook today and say, what was it? Say something you could say about your house that you can't say about your spouse. And somebody put on there that you got foundation issues.
There was a lot of things on there that we all added to that comment. So we just kind of leave that. There were some funny ones on there.
Things you can say about your spouse, you can say about your house, but you can't say about your spouse. But obviously the foundation is, the footer where all the weight of your house is distributed out equally, ideally. And if you have a problem with the footer, then it's not distributing equally, and you're going to have, just like your feet, if you lose balance, you're going to fall. And that's what happens. A house starts to lose balance if it doesn't have a good foundation.
Yeah, but also a lot of people that are in their homes a long time, they plant some really nice trees right around the edge of their house. They look awful pretty, and as they grow,
Roots can wreak havoc. Yeah. I mean, I've got so many pictures. I can send you some, where it's like.
So there's another house and spouse. You could say your roots are showing.
Yeah, there you go. Your roots are showing. Oh, I see it. I see what you're doing there.
Did you see what I just did there?
Yeah, I had the one that said it's not performing the function for which intended anymore. But
oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, but no.
Hello.
We might get beeped on that, but only if you think that way. But I mean, I was talking about the roof. The roof's leaking. It's not performing the function for which it did. All right. Speaking of leaking, number 3 is issues with plumbing and pipes. Issues with plumbing and pipes.
Oh boy.
I'll agree with that. Over the years we used a lot of different materials for plumbing. Well, way back we used lead. That was a really bad idea because it leads to lead poisoning. But
just a small thing.
Yeah. But galvanized. Pre-World War II, and it rusts out with the problem. And then copper and iron, which I really like, lasts a long time, but it's very expensive. So then we switched over to a lot of the plastics, all the polybutylene, polyethylene, everything has some problem. There's usually a workaround though, and we have those workarounds. But everything that a house is made out of, Paul, doesn't last forever. Just like a car, melts.
What about asbestos?
Go ahead. Oh.
Whoa! Really? What happened?
Oh. Wow.
I see a lot of that.
There you go. Well, yeah, but you probably wouldn't want to go through all that again, I'm sure.
The worst is the sewer drain, the iron sewer drain pipe that I see we have to replace on an ongoing basis. When it goes bad. It goes bad. Oh, well, you do.
And going back to your comment earlier, I've walked up to an older house and I see a huge tree in the front yard. And I love trees. But I'm sitting there looking, where's the water in the drain coming? And the roots will wrap around those, and they'll just squeeze those pipes just like in Python. They're attracted to the moisture on it, and you'll have some issues. Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
So we got a couple more. Do we have time?
All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 5 on their list, but I'm going along with it. Mold.
Don't say that word.
I know.
Say the microbial growth.
Microbial growth. Yes.
Microbial growth. Don't say the M word.
Right. And there's microbial growth everywhere. There's microbial growth in this room.
Usually because TJ's in here. He's eating cheese.
But usually when it's a problem is when you have chronic moisture. That's the problem. If you show me some really bad microbial growth, I'll show you a moisture problem, an ongoing moisture problem. So usually fix the moisture, whether it's atmospheric or a leak or something like that.
Preston, we were talking about this in our office the other day. Remember when you used to vent your bathroom fans right into your attic?
Oh, yeah.
That used to be code.
Right.
You just get it out from the bathroom and just let it go in the attic. Oh, it's all fine.
The problem is you're putting that hot, moist, when you take a shower, you're putting that hot, moist air right into the attic. And, you've got nails and brads and stuff that hold your attic together, and they rust. Not to mention it, can delaminate your shingles and things like that as well.
That's true.
Termite damage and rotting wood, we could do those two together.
Yes.
Because they're usually one into the other. If you live in the South, there's 2 types of houses, those that have termites and those that just haven't found it. And the conducive conditions for those are moisture and high moisture. Again, moisture comes up a lot. So that's a big problem.
Lots of things to look at. Good reason to get somebody to come in and look at your house. That's what Home Inspection Carolina does, whether you're buying, selling, or even just living there. So don't hesitate. So, all right, we've got more to come. Preston Sandlin, Home Inspection Carolina, Tara Cuffney with the Costner Law Firm, myself, Paul Jameson, the show, Your Real Estate Today. We got more to come. Stay right with us here on News Talk 1110 99.3 WBT. Welcome back to the show, Your Real Estate Today. We're glad you're with us on this Saturday. Thank you so much for being with us. We are glad that you're spending the time with us today talking about My favorite subject, real estate, anything having to do with your home. And we're thankful. I'm Paul Jameson, again, your host, if you're just coming on, and we're glad that you're with us. So sit back and relax. We're going to talk with Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina, and we're going to talk about some fall maintenance tips for your home. Everybody knows that there are little things you can do to help protect your home, and these tips, they're actually pretty cool. So, Preston, welcome back, friend.
Oh, thanks. Glad to be here. And we're you and I are actually here in person.
I know it. It's kind of yeah, and there's glass between us, in case you're wondering. They've figured out a way to not show that, but you know, we're and TJ, our producer, he's on the other side. He has glass in front of him too.
I'm in a bubble.
He's in a bubble.
Yeah.
He's actually one of
I made
those
a
things
movie
that
about
rolls
you,
around.
isn't
It's
it?
kind of fun to watch him.
Like those things in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, look, yeah.
Like those things in Myrtle Beach. You fight other people in the bubble. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, what do you think is one of the biggest I guess we can't say biggest, but what would you say is a good place to start with some of these fall maintenance tips, Preston?
Well, sure. Well, the first one is, you know, as it starts to get colder, all the critters and creepy crawlies, they like to go where it's warmer, which is typically inside your house. So you want to make sure that you've sealed your house and you don't have any areas where squirrels can get in. Squirrels love to use your attic to store acorns and all that stuff. And I've had it. I don't know if you've ever had it at your office. It's expensive. It is expensive to get rid of a squirrel.
Yes.
And they can do some damage because they like to chew on the wires and everything else. But you want to seal around your house. Make sure that around all the eaves and the coves and the alcoves, there's not any holes where they can get through. And if there is, you need to put like some basically chicken wire, that sort of thing, or wire mesh where they can't get in, because once they get in, it's a lot more expensive to get them out of there.
Yeah.
And another time, bugs actually get really bad this time of year. We experienced that at my house. My wife's going to kill me. But when the weather changes, that drives the bugs indoors. So, you know, you may want to think about an exterminator or buying some stuff. Recommend the organic, you know, as much as possible. I mean, you know, I know pesticide. Marty can probably help you out there. That's
yeah. But the critters is pretty interesting. And, you know, I have a lot of cameras, you know, around my house, the Ring cameras.
Right.
And so the camera has been going off at about, I don't know, 2:30 a.m.
Right.
And I look, and there's a raccoon that is always the same raccoon. It happens almost every night, looking for a way to get in. He follows along the garage door and he looks around and he's looking for a way to get in. He ain't coming in.
They follow patterns. Patterns. I got a whole bunch on my, I don't have Ring. I have the other one. I can't think of it right now, but
Nest.
No, it's the I can't think of it right now.
That's all right.
But anyway, it records. If there's motion, it records it, sends it up to the cloud. So I can go back and see what it was.
Yeah.
And it's a squirrel. And he looks like that squirrel on Christmas Vacation. He's up there and he's like faces in the thing and he's chewing on the thing. And it's just like,
oh, that's always nice watching them. So you get to record a critter destroying your house.
Oh yeah. It looks
nice.
like he's like gnawing on the camera itself or something there. But I should put a video together of that.
Yeah, it'd probably be good. So why is cleaning out your gutters important? I mean, I see a lot of gutters that have trees and Christmas trees and things growing them in. Isn't that festive?
Yeah, it is pretty colorful. The problem is, though, when that water clogs up and it can't go down the gutters or down the downpipes, what it's going to do is seep back over into the eave and the soffits and fascia and cause rot. And you've probably seen that. I know you have. And that comes from the gutters and downspouts being clogged up. Be careful when you do this, though. So many people get hurt on ladders. I'm a big fan of, I have a backpack blower that you can buy the attachments to elongate it, and it has a little hook where I can blow it out from down, you know, while I'm on the ground. But be really careful with ladder safety. In fact, kind of related but not related, 2 home inspectors got hurt this month. Both of them fell off a ladder. So ladders are dangerous, a lot more dangerous than we think.
Well, I am one of those dummies who cleaned his own gutters, and I almost fell off the roof. I jammed my leg into the gutter itself to stop me from falling off. And one knee surgery later, I don't do it anymore. So it was a very expensive gutter clean.
Yeah. Well, I've had that experience too. And usually when you're cleaning the gutters, if there's actual leaves on the roof themselves, they're extremely slick. And it's real. I've done the same thing. I've slid down twice in my life where the gutter actually stopped. I got my foot in the gutter that held me up. But I mean, that is a scary feeling on the way down. And I'm just thinking, this is really going to hurt. I'm going down. I don't know how long.
Do I do a 1.5, a 2 full? You know, do I point my toes as I fall on my head? Which way is it going to go is pretty much the things going through my head at that particular time.
Get the blower, clean those gutters, or hire somebody who's a professional who has good, reviews and they're licensed and insured.
Yeah. Also on the line, Tara Cuffney with Costner Law Firm. She'll be up in the next segment. She's on the line too. Your husband would never get up on the roof, Tara, would he, and clean the gutters out?
No, he would not. I remember my graduation speech from law school, and they said it was Jay Billis. He's an ESPN reporter. Anyway, he said, "You are professionals now. You hire someone to do that stuff. You do not fall off a ladder." So we don't do that. We hire people.
Yeah,
there you go.
You're a smart woman. I wish I was half as smart because I messed up. But I learned. People tell me what to do now. All right. So what about checking your safety devices, Preston?
Well, all of your mechanical systems, your plumbing, your electrical, they all have safety cutoffs, and they have, overflow protection. I'll just give you a couple real quick. Your water heater has a temperature pressure relief valve. It's that little pipe that you see come off the water heater. There's basically a spring in there. So if it ever malfunctions and kept heating the water instead of that thing being a bomb and exploding, that spring will depress, and it's a temperature. If the temperature gets high or the pressure gets high, it'll depress. But what'll happen is sometimes they'll start leaking over time because the spring gets relaxed. So check that all around your water heater. If you see any water, those temperature pressure relief valves go out probably every 8, 9, 10 years. The good news is they're only like $15 to fix. But hire a professional, like Tara said. That's another thing.
You're going to end up with a flood on your hands if you don't.
Yeah, and check all your water, electrical cutoffs. Just make sure you don't have any leaks or anything like that. It's a good time to check.
Yeah, I skipped over one. I skipped over ensure exterior walkways and railing safety.
Yeah, it's a good time because, if you, in the event that we have bad weather leading to slick conditions, whether it be ice or snow, you want to make sure that all your handrails, your bricks, they're not loose. Now's the time, if they're loose, to fix them, put mortar in them, point up the bricks. Make sure if you have any, like cracks and one's raised and one's lowered, that you get that taken care of. You can actually get that ground down, but you don't want any trip hazards. I do want to throw this out. I hope that none of these folks sponsor the show because they're not going to like what I'm about to say. But I'm not a big fan of salt. Salt will destroy your concrete if we have inclement weather. I recommend getting sand. It's not going to be as good as salt, but the problem with salt is once that salt gets in there, it will melt the snow and it will work. But it's terrible for your concrete. It gets down into the concrete and causes it to spall and crack and stuff. So anyway, just make sure you don't have any loose bricks, anything like that, and maybe get a bag or two of sand, put in your garage in case we do have inclement weather.
All right. Well, we want those fall tips, and we appreciate those. And Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. You can get more information at info@hicarolina.com. Preston and his team have been around a long time. They do a lot of inspections for us, and you can reach them at 704-542-6575 if you'd like to get a pre-inspection done on your home.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
This full list is at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Homeinspectioncarolina.com. Thank you, Preston.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a lot more show to come. Up next, Tara Cuffney with the Costner Law Firm. She's a partner, and she does a lot of work for our team, a lot of closings. It's exciting to have her with us today. We've got so much in store. Stay with us on the show Your Real Estate Today here on News Talk 1110 99.3 WBT. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Country Western Show. No. Yeah. Real estate. Gotta love it. All right. I'm here with, my name's Paul Jameson. Happy Saturday. If you're turning on, you have no idea what's happening. So hang tight. We're talking about real estate in your home. I am Paul Jameson, your host, the owner of the Jameson Companies. That's Jameson Realty. For buyers and sellers, Jameson Property Management and Jameson Property Investments, if you're interested in investing in residential real estate. All right, so I've got Tara Cuffney with the Coster Law Firm, Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina, here with me as well. We're going to wrap up today's show. Tara's going to talk about HOAs. Preston is going to continue with his list of the 15 things that we typically see in a home inspection that could be a problem. And I'm going to talk about a couple of quick things. I'm going to talk about what full service means. I'm going to talk about what full service means. And first of all, I think we all, especially those of us that are gray, which is not Tara and barely Preston and not TJ over across from us right now, remember when you used to get gas at the gas pump, a guy'd come running out and he'd wash your windows, he'd check your oil, he'd fill up your tank. Or if you went to different places, there was a different level of service that happened. And the definition of full service to me hasn't changed. You know, the definition is, you know, in real estate, it's got many interpretations. You know, it says that being helpful adds value if you look at what many different people say. But I'm going to tell you what it means to me. All right. What it means to me is that from the very beginning of the relationship to the very end of the relationship, and even beyond the real estate transaction, you call me. And I work for you to make sure that your best interest is protected in every aspect. A lot of people think that once a house goes under contract, that, you know, it's time to high five and you're headed to the finish line. No. That's just the very beginning. And that's really the easy part. It's getting it to the finish line and having the experience to get it there is where things really happen. And that's how I get other business, is because I believe that we, the agents that work for us, bless you, say, Tara, she sneezed on camera. And it was fine, actually, that getting there to the end and then beyond, because I'm friends with all my clients, you develop relationships with people and they trust you. And that trust means a lot to me. And I think full service carries that trust. So that's the way I think of it. All right. So why should you invest in real estate right now? Well, first of all, look at what happens to the stock market every day. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It could drive you crazy. You can't look at it every day, although you probably want to. And if you do, you probably are mixing Xanax and something else to try to get through the day. All right.
And it's not CBD oil.
Yeah, it's not CBD oil, Preston. So I think that real estate should be a part of building wealth. It is not a one-trick pony and the only way. You got your mattress money, you have your portfolio of retirement, and you have, I believe, real estate, which is a great way to have incoming cash flow. And Tara and also Preston are real estate investors as well. They understand that you need a diversity in your portfolio, and it's never worth zero. Real estate will never be worth zero. And it's one of those investments, unlike something that you have in an account somewhere with with an investment advisor, you have an element of control as to the decisions around how that piece of real estate is operated and how it's done. And a lot of people want that kind of control. And real estate can do that. And real estate is, if you look at it over time, a good, solid investment and has many advantages that relate to taxes and other things. And everyone says, well, why should I invest right now? The market's high. Look, it's about the numbers. If the returns are there, 8.5, 9, 9.5 or more, look at it based on an investment, just like you would look at anything else. It's about the numbers, making the numbers work and being in an area that's growing and has opportunity. And that's what we help our clients do. All right. Tara, let's talk for a second about HOA.
Okay.
We were talking before about things related to what you do and the preparations around that. HOAs are a piece of the real estate transaction you can't forget about, right?
They are. They're very important. They have to be paid. They can put a lien on the home. They can foreclose on the home. We don't mess with HOAs. We give them their money just how they want it.
Yeah, and a lot of times they require banks require a certification, right?
Yeah, the lenders usually do their own kind of questionnaire, but we obviously do the attorney version.
And they like to charge a little bit of money for information. HOAs do, don't they?
They do. They do. I might take this a little bit further than you wanted, but there's a new statute out that caps how much they can charge regarding the transfer fees.
Oh, is that? I love that. What is it?
Yes.
Do you know?
Well, it's not well written. It says it's $200 is the max they can charge. There is a shop in town. I'm not going to name names, but they historically have charged $3.95 to transfer. The contract reads that sellers have to pay for that. So obviously that fee violates the new statute. To get around that, they are now charging a $200 buyer transfer fee and a $200 seller transfer fee. Every firm is kind of handling that differently, but in our mind, we have to charge the seller. We're not going to penalize the buyer because the contract dictates. So technically they're breaking the law, but they get around it by saying it's a buyer fee rather than a seller fee. So I imagine there's going to be lots of new legislation, a lot of lobbying about that to get it perfected. It's not great. And they can charge additional rush fees if it's considered a rush.
That's sad. And again, to get in touch with you at Costner, Tara, how do they reach you?
980-219-7637, or you can go to our website. That's costnerlaw.com.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right, Preston.
Sure.
We have a couple more of these 15 things. We did termites, rotted wood, microbial growth, water damage. What do you got next?
Well, going back to Tara's thing, wiring problems or electrical problems. Her wiring problems are a little bit different than my wiring problems, but
both very serious.
Yeah, both very serious, and both something you need to deal with. So electrical problems, over time, what's happened is our needs in a house have changed, and that's the thing. If you buy a house from the 1950s, it wasn't prepared for all the appliances electrically. It wasn't prepared, for all the appliances and stereos and stuff we have today. So, sometimes there's problems in, adding too much stuff without updating the electrical system. So, one of the problems is if we got an older home, have they updated it properly to the use of electrical uses that they'll need today? And then another problem, and this is the same with plumbing, if you've got different types of wiring, were they joined properly? Because if they're not, there's going to be corrosion and oxidation, which can happen too. And whenever you get oxidation in electrical, that's bad because eventually, have you ever? I'm king of metaphors here, or similes, whatever they are. I forget. But have you ever jumped off a car, and when you get ready to touch the last, after you got 3 of the 4 and you're putting down that 4th one, as soon as you get close, what happens? So it knows it's getting close. Well, that's the problem with wiring. If it becomes loose in a junction box or you have oxidation, if it becomes kind of separated or whatever, when you go to turn it on, you're going to get a spark. And if it's not in a junction box, the spark's going to hit something combustible and you're going to have a fire. So anyway, that's the wiring problems that we look for.
Well, Preston, if somebody would like to learn more about you or do what I like to talk about, which is the pre-inspection of their home and have some of these things examined, how do they reach you?
Homeinspectioncarolina.com. You can reach us through there and email us through there. Our phone number is 704-542-6575.
All right. Hello, welcome back to the final segment of the show, Your Real Estate Today. Man, does time move quick. I just can't seem to have enough time to say everything I want to say. Thanks for sharing your Saturday with us. We're so happy that you're out and about today. And of course, as we said earlier, we hope you're safe, comfortable, and enjoying your Saturday. I got Preston Sandlin here in the studio with me, and also Tara Cuffney with the Costner Law Firm. And remember, and I'm Paul Jameson, of course, your host, with the Jameson family of companies. That's realty, property management, property investments. You can watch us, if you like, at the Jameson Realty YouTube channel. You can also listen to us anytime on radio.com, or you can go to WBT, and under the shows tab, we are there. You can listen to your heart's content. There's like a gillion shows under there. So you can just binge go at it if you like. So have at it. All right, Tara, so good to have you. Thank you for being with us. It's been a while, huh?
It has been a while. It's good to be back.
Yeah, you've been sharing the showtime with other attorneys, but, it started with you and Josh.
It did.
Yeah, it's been a good while, hasn't it?
It has. We have so many attorneys though. Like they love being on the show. It's so much fun. And I remember just in the beginning, they'd be so nervous. I'm like, no, it's actually really fun. So this is a fun show. Everyone likes it.
We have a good time. Well,
yeah.
I wanted to make sure because we've got a very solid relationship with the Costner Law Firm. And one of the things that I think is important, and I talk about this with Tara a lot, I talk about it with Josh, I talk about it with the attorneys, I talk about it with Cheryl, who is the rock star for us on the back end along with her support team. Yeah, the support team's great too.
Yeah.
But getting the contract to your office, the second we go under contract, we got to get it to the lender. We get it to Sandy. We got to get it to Tara right away.
Yep.
Why?
Well, there are many reasons. The main one being you want to see if you really want to buy this house. Buyers are putting down earnest money in due diligence. That earnest money, you get it back if in that due diligence period you decide you don't want the home. That due diligence period, I don't know what you usually put on your contract, but it's not that long. So we need to get that title search in. We need the contract immediately, number one. We need to get that title search in. We want to do a search on the property to make sure it is free and clear of all liens. You do not want a title issue popping up the last minute because we failed to get the contract until 2 weeks before closing. That's going to cause huge issues, huge delays. And it happens all the time.
Yeah, it really does. And, what's interesting, Tara, is that you said, and you didn't elaborate, but you said there's a lot of things that have to happen once that contract hits you. The title search, of course, is a big piece of that. And a part of that is there can be a home equity line. Even just because the balance is zero doesn't mean it's something that isn't on the property or on the deed.
Yeah. Equity lines give us a whole lot of trouble. And it's not even when just the sellers have an equity line, which they've forgotten about. They sold them and handed them out like candy back in the day. And so people never even drew on them. They forgot they had them. It's a zero balance, but we have to get a freeze letter because with more complications with HELOCs, is that, we could get a payoff today and tomorrow that seller could go out and take a draw on the account now that they remember they have it. And it's happened. So after closing, there's a $4,000 gap in that. We have to call the seller and make them pay up. That's kind of best case scenario with a HELOC, to be honest, that the current seller has a HELOC. What we run into is that, 2 chains back, the seller had a HELOC. Sure, it was probably paid off, but no one told that lender to not only close the account, but cancel it of record. And so there are just some hanging out there, and title insurance companies won't insure over them. They're messy. First mortgages, we have some wiggle room. We can do a lot of work with those. But if you have a HELOC, we have to take very specific steps because it does cause a lot of pain going down the road. So
what happens?
We don't mess around with those.
Well, what happens to Tara in that particular instance? And it has happened to us before. And I mean, more times than I care to count. What happens though, if you go back and either that bank doesn't exist anymore, it got gobbled up by another bank, like it was with First Union, or if it was with an savings and loan that, doesn't exist, or the attorney that did the work doesn't exist anymore?
So it can run the gamut. I've gotten really lucky, and I thanked this man over and over. He had records. Back in the day, the banks didn't cancel them for you. They would send a cancellation to your home, and a letter would say, you have to take this down to the Register of Deeds. Well, people didn't read that letter. You know, that was long gone. That was a property they'd sold. A man had one from 25 years ago. He had kept that document. It was an original, and we recorded it to close out that equity line. So that one, okay, went really well, but he had to do some digging, right? The worst case scenarios are we have no answer for them. So we don't like to tell people this, but we have a title curative person in house. She's wonderful. We bill her out at $250 an hour. So she will do whatever she can to find that bank or who they sold it to or who assumed it. It could take forever. We also have a company called Require who will clear up things like that, but they say 90 days, and it takes 90 days sometimes. So it's a real big problem, which is why we, again, take it so seriously on the front end when we handle a closing.
Well, that's why that paper needs to get in. And I guarantee you, I've got documents from 25 years ago. I don't have any idea what they are or where they are, but I have them.
Yeah.
So just say
this man was a miracle. I couldn't believe
that's
he had
right.
it. So,
I have 5.5-inch floppies with stuff, floppy disk that
Do
have
you really?
documents on it, but I don't know how you would read them.
how would you even, go to the library and hope they have a really
yeah,
old
who
computer?
has that anymore?
Yeah.
It's on an old
right.
Apple IIe.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Go down to the library where the computers still have floppy disks. I like that idea. All right. So, let's talk for a minute about the reason why checking out the deed on the property you own is important. Like,
are you talking about the property people just bought or the property
yes.
they
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we like to do that as well. At a closing, we will typically give a copy of the deed to the buyer and have them make sure the deed looks okay. You want your name to be spelled correctly, right? If it's not, your tax bills and all other docs will come out spelled incorrectly here and forever forward, unless we change it. Also, you want to make sure the vesting is right. Actually, I have two guys closing tomorrow, and I called him. I'm like, so who is this gentleman? Is he your father? Is he your brother? Is he your husband? I have to ask those questions because if the title isn't right, you could have probate issues down the road. We just want to get people looking at their deeds, making sure their names are right, everything's good. Property addresses too. I know you do a lot of investment properties. If it's an investment property and we don't know about it, we'll put the property address as both the property address and mailing address. Well, they don't want that. They don't want all their mail going to their tenant. So we need to know that because we'll do 2 blocks, one for mailing and one for property address. So those are important too.
Yeah, that's something, so I encourage people, you can get online and look at the deed to your property. In most cases, depending on how long you've owned it and most of the archives, the stuff's up there. Go look at it, and see what it says, and see if there are any things that you'd want to correct. And a lot of times things don't get fixed. If there's a divorce or if there's other things, you want to get that stuff fixed. You want to make sure that it's done the right way. And I think getting that stuff to them in time is a good thing. So getting the real estate contract to the attorney quickly is important, and making sure they get good information. There's also a form that you send out, Tara, that you need to get back quickly also, each time there's a real estate transaction.
Yes. So on a real estate transaction, we need a lot of information from the seller. We need some from the buyer, but just not as important. The seller is going to give us information about marital status. If they're not a citizen, that has huge implications regarding taxes for the buyer. We need to know payoffs of how many mortgages they have, both an equity line and a first mortgage, and then anything on the HOA. And we have to hunt those down. We will call and email people 5-6 times because if we don't have that, we don't close. So the quicker we get that back, the better.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Tara, if somebody has a question about the deed on their property or they need some help, how do they get in touch with you?
You can call our main line at 704. Nope, that's my line. Our main line is 980-219-7637, or you guys can go to www.costnerlaw.com.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. Preston, thank you for being with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tara, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm Paul Jameson. You can reach us at 846-DONE, 846-3663, or on the web at myjamesonhomes.com. God bless. We'll talk to you next week. The show, Your Real Estate Today, here on Newstalk 1110, 99.3 WBT. Take care.